Welcome back to video number 2 on my new Forester chain sharpener here that I bought from Menards. So far I've sharpened one chain on it. This thing is really cool. I really like it. It's a lot better than the other ways that I sharpen saws. So I'm going to be doing a couple things here. I need to remount this because I was using clamps on this, and then they got in the way of this thing because this has to turn. So then I threw a couple Torx screws through, and it's not very tight because it's just going through this plywood. So I'm actually gonna bolt it down to my bench, make it kind of just fit nicer. But a while back, I actually had a whole video about redoing this whole bench, and I don't think I ever uploaded it. But anyways, I'm not a great carpenter, so when I ripped this piece of plywood to put on top of my bench, my line wasn't very straight. So back here, it's kind of more flush, and then as it comes out, there's a lip all the way across here. And I was gonna take my circular saw and just kind of cut down the edge of this thing, and I want to do that right now. So then the little things here on the bottom of this sharpener, it butts up against your workbench or whatever. So I want to get this nice and square first, and then put bolts through this thing and secure it better. Now, instead of just taking a circular saw and cutting this, I have to complicate everything. So I went to Harbor Freight and I got a Bauer corded router. I haven't used a router since 2008. And I always thought they were cool. I just never really bought one. I guess I never really knew what I needed it for, because I really don't do a lot of wood projects. I mean, I do rough carpentry, but that's nothing fancy. And I got a router bit set, and one of these little bits here that has the wheel on it, the guide, you know, one of these skinny bits, flat bits here, I think that I can use this router to take some of this edge, some of this plywood off, so then it's flush up against these 2x4s that I made my bench out of. And this has a cord on it. The chain sharpener has a cord on it, and then my knife and tool sharpener has a cord on it. And I usually just run a cord across the floor here over to the only outlet that's in this garage. And I kind of wanted to get something set up, so then I had a couple different plugins for whatever I need to plug in on my bench. So I'm actually going to run a power cord up and across kind of the ceiling, and then down, and then along the side of this thing somehow. So then I can put this power strip that I got from Harbor Freight somewhere around here. Then I can plug stuff into it. So I even kind of thought about drilling a hole in here and hiding this, you know, drilling a hole and sticking it through the bench, so then it literally just went down in underneath the bench and you didn't have all this stuff. It's not a big deal. I don't know why I have to complicate everything, but so I'm gonna do that. And then I kind of want this thing kind of permanent on my bench, because when I'm busy, I do go through a lot of chain, so it's not like I'm not going to be using it. And I have a couple jobs coming up. I have some pretty decent sized trees to cut down, so I'm going to be buzzing through a lot of chain. So I want to get this all fixed up and looking nice. So let's get started. So I got this thing plugged in at the only outlet in here. Basically, I'm just putting screws in, and then I'm using zip ties to secure this extension cord to the screws. I'm just kind of utilizing whatever I have up there. There's already a nail there, so I just zip tied to it, and then every 4 or 5 feet put another one in. And I'm not doing them too tight. I don't want to have any type of, I don't know what you'd call that, resistance or whatever, which I shouldn't. It's just an extension cord, but comes down to about right there. And then I'm actually going to tuck it up underneath and kind of behind this 2x4. And this cord is way longer than I thought it was, so I have plenty of cord here to kind of do whatever I want. So I got the extension cord ran behind that 2x4, and it comes out right here. And I still have like another 6 feet, so I think what I'm going to do, so I think I'm going to take this power strip and I'm actually going to stick it down here. It's kind of a weird spot, but I'm going to be able to run that cord up underneath and kind of, I'll have everything tucked away. And then this will be right here, so I can easily run my cord over there for my sharpener. And then of course my knife and tool sharpener I can plug in over there and kind of whatever else, but it'll be right down here. And these power strips, I don't know what it is about these companies, why they have to complicate everything. When they do this, they need to have some holes somewhere, or some tabs with holes, whatever, just somewhere, so you can screw this into stuff. Instead of doing this crap where you have to measure out perfectly where these go and then you have to slide them down onto it and stuff. I mean, I don't know, it just drives me nuts. So I'm actually gonna drill my own holes in this. Just need to grab a drill. I'm gonna use my super old Craftsman 19.2 volt. Still works fine, but the best part about it is it has a great chuck in it. I have brand new drills that will not hold a drill bit in correctly. They're just poorly designed or something. This thing won't let go of it. It'll stay in there nice and tight. Put it in a spot where it's easy to angle in a screw. I hit the cord. I'm happy with that. Probably, just to make this easy, just stick it right there and put everything underneath. Sweet. That's what I'm doing. Make things easy. Now I just need to tuck the cords away somewhere where they're not going to get caught on anything. Basically, I've just been using, like I said earlier, I just use zip ties, and I put a screw in and I zip tie the cord to the screw, so it's removable later. I'm just going to tuck those away. I'm going to wrap these up and stick them on top of that tote. Cut these things off so I have something to cut myself on later. See how nice that is? I'm I'm not perfect by any means, but nowadays I kind of like things looking halfway decent or being neat to some extent. Perfect. Just to show here, so that's off, that's on, and it has a little light on there. Works perfect. I mounted that really poorly. Now before I find a spot for this, I need to router this edge, get it nice and flush. Move all my... The last time I used a router was back in 2008. I really don't know much about them. I really didn't need to get this whole assortment, but it was the only one that kind of had the bits I was looking for. There we go. Wow. Fancy. Yeah, this is kind of what I'm looking for. I'm hoping I'm pretty sure that's what I need. I did not want to get the 20 volt router because routers spin really fast and have a lot of power, so I don't know, I just didn't want to use a battery for that. The only thing I don't like about this is it doesn't have handles on the side. It seems like a dangerous tool to not have a good place to put your hands, because the last router that I used had things on the side and you had good grip on it. No idea what this stuff is for. This is the one thing I should definitely read the instructions on. Well, in this case, I don't really need this. It's a fence for doing other stuff. In this case, this round little thing right here is going to be the guide, give or take. It'll only cut in until this little wheel hits, and then that'll keep it from overcutting or whatever. I'm assuming I have to lift this up so then I can fit these doohickeys on there. Yeah, okay, so one wrench is, okay, I get that now. Right. That's tight. Okay, now loosen that, and this is how I adjust the doohickey, which in this case, that full length there is exactly what I need. Lock that in so it can't move. Oh, that is so cool. This thing's gonna make a mess though. It's gonna be slinging stuff everywhere. So before I router this, there is a piece of wood right here sticking out where this split. And so that router is gonna follow whatever surface that little wheel is against. So right here, it's gonna router this kind of funny. So, oh, there is a screw in that. Nice. That's all screwed up. Well, I got it to the point where if I push on it hard enough, it'll kind of go back in there. So it'll be fine, whatever. Might have a little weird spot right here. All right. No idea what speed setting to have this on. I guess let's see what one looks like. It's looking all right. It's not terrible. We turn this thing up. Here's 6. Let's try that. That was so cool. Oh, it's awesome. This is sweet. All right, this thing is awesome. That is so satisfying to me to have something cut that nice. It's not like perfectly straight, but it obviously looks way better than it did. And just as I figured, there's going to be a little noticeable, you know, change in the wood right there because of that piece that was sticking out. I did happen to have a knot. You see there's a little place there where this blade went in there, so it kind of cut it out, kind of funny. In fact, I might just put my sharpener right over that so I don't have to look at it. And it made a mess like I knew it would, but I'm gonna go over this just a little bit more. I feel like, I'm not sure, I guess I really didn't pay attention to what direction this is spinning, but I feel like when I was pulling it this way, it was not as good as pushing it that way. I don't know if that makes sense. I feel like it just cut a lot better, like it was just a lot better moving that direction, and I didn't read the instructions, so I don't know if there's a certain way you're supposed to go or not. I think it works really well. Awesome. That is just way, way cleaner looking than it was. And like I said earlier, I had a whole video about when I redid this bench, and I don't think I uploaded it. I don't know why. I guess maybe I thought it was a boring video, but I remember ripping this with my circular saw, sticking it on here, and then there's a lip, and it drove me nuts. And I said, oh, I'll fix it. And then I left it for months. So I finally got that done. This was definitely worth the money. I don't believe I said the cost. I think it was $59.99. It's actually the same cost as that chainsaw chain sharpener, but this thing's really nice. And honestly, with Bauer, I wouldn't expect anything else. They make amazing tools, but works really well. And then this Bauer bit set obviously has a bunch of other stuff in there that I could try. You know, they have ones that like round over. There's little pictures there. They have ones that round over wood, or you can put in rabbits and Roman ogi, I don't know, something, dovetail stuff. I'm not really like a huge, you know, I don't like build furniture or anything like that, anything that's super fancy. If anything, I do really, really rough framing and, you know, whatever, mild carpentry. But anyway, yeah, this looks way better. So now I have a mess to clean up. That's the one thing that I hate about woodwork. I mean, it's kind of the same with metal work and fabricating. You get metal shavings everywhere, but wood is just, I mean, it gets everywhere. It's light. Gonna vacuum up all this crap with my Bauer shop vac, hand vac thing here. I'm basically just a Bauer advertiser in all my videos. All right, so right here is where that knot was. That was the word I was thinking of. So I'm actually gonna just stick this right there, cover it right up. I think that'll work just fine. Nothing underneath, so I can easily put bolts in. I just need to mark that. Drill a couple holes. Find a drill bit here. That is a dull bit. That's a metal bit too. That's terrible. Okay, so that's lined up perfect. Kind of want to drill a hole so I can hide this cord. It's really not necessary to put a hole in this just for that, but I think it would be cool. Because I'm just going to leave this hooked up. I have no reason to move this. Yep, I'm going to do it. This would actually be a good time to use my jigsaw. This is ridiculous. That bit sucks. You gotta be kidding me. What did I do with my wood bits? I think I may have I bought a whole bunch of nice wood bits. I think I must have taken them out to where all my equipment is stored, because I think I was using them when I was fixing up that shed that my excavator is in. These are $10 bits from Harbor Freight. Whoops. I'm just massacring this thing. Sorry. Okay, where's my jigsaw? Funny, I actually wanted to get a 20-volt power jigsaw. That way I didn't have to mess around with these stupid cords. I probably should have got one. They are having a sale right now where if you buy a battery and a charger, you can get a tool for free. And I think one of those tools is a jigsaw. I probably should have got it. Because I hate cords. Thankfully I have a power strip here now. Try to make this as halfway decent as I can. I guess it's just gonna look ugly anyway. Jeez. One more cut. That's funny. So this looks halfway decent, a little rectangle there. And this is why I did that. It's way too big. It didn't need to be that big. I actually could have done half of that and still had enough room to put this plug through, but that's how I roll, I guess. Okay. So these bolts came with my toolbox that I just bought, and I'm not going to use them on my toolbox, so I'm going to use these for that. And I like these, how they have that little circular deal on there, because then you don't have to have a shallow well socket, because it stops the bolt from going in there. So I'm going to stick it up from underneath. Nice. So ironically, this sharpener actually has a hex thing already in it, so you can actually stick whatever size bolt you want in there, and then you won't have to hold this in because it's shaped hex, so it'll stop it from turning, and you can just put the nuts underneath. But I like to do things kind of stupid, and so this is what I'm doing, but it works. Since I cut up a bunch of stuff, I'm gonna, this is incredibly smooth. I'm gonna sand it a little bit, just as a little bit extra, but I'm not kidding. This thing is so smooth just from that router. There's a little piece sticking out, there we go. But I'm gonna hit it with some 60 grit. Nice. Just a quick once over. This is way smoother than it was. Hopefully got all the things that might give me a sliver later on. You know, if I'm sharpening up a whole bunch of chains and stuff here and your hands are constantly on here, you want it to be smooth. I hate slivers. Yeah, this past year I've been investing heavily in Bauer tools, and I don't regret buying a single one of them. They're very cool. This is a really cool router, and it's amazing. I've said this before in my other videos on these Bauer tools, but it's amazing how far they've come in the last 10-20 years, because I remember tools back in, you know, like 2006, 2007, they were different back then. But yeah, Bauer seems to have something for everything that I end up doing in my garage or wherever. There's always a tool Bauer has that I need. So got the router, the blower, palm sander, a bunch of other stuff in there. I mean, got grinders. I got all these specialty tools. Bauer is just awesome. I'm gonna wrap this thing up, make it look halfway decent. All right, let's do a little recap on everything I just did, starting with the new power cord, temporary power cord that I ran up the side here, ran it up along the side of the garage, and then I came down, kind of tucked it up underneath of there. You can still kind of see it, but comes over here, and then it comes down along the back of this workbench, and then I looped them up and hooked them together, and they're just sitting on top of this tote full of cast iron pans that I never move, so I have no problem leaving those there. And then that yellow power strip cord goes underneath this. It comes up around here. I got my hand drilled, or my custom drilled holes in this power strip because they give you crap to work with as far as fastening this to anything. And this thing's sturdy. I mean, it ain't going nowhere, it's fine. Power strip works great. Can plug whatever into there, and it has its own little on and off button, which is a nice safety feature, really. And then I got my Forester chain sharpening unit, which is awesome, and I'll get to that in a second. Got the cord going back here. Made too big of a hole, but it's big enough now you can get pretty much any size electrical plug through there, so then you don't have to have, I don't like wires all over the place. It drives me nuts, so that's why I did that. So this is just cheap plywood. I know there's a hole in it now, but if I ever, for whatever reason, didn't want that there, I could just get a new piece of plywood and stick it on there. And now that I have this awesome router, if I rip it like crap, then I can just go along here and do what I did to it with that flat little bit. I actually forgot to sand this part. I need to do that. This is all really nice. So if I have a bunch of chainsaw chain to do, and I'm constantly, you know, moving, putting my hands on the bench and everything, it's smooth. So it's not gonna give me splinters, which are annoying. So, also, I have my kind of my general knife and tool sharpener, my hand sharpener. That works awesome. And over here, I got the power strip, so I can plug that in there, and then I have my tiny little vise that I can put like an axe in there or whatever, clamp that down, and I can sharpen my tools. I got the power strip right there. This vise is not like meant for fabricating or pounding on it or doing whatever. This is just for clamping tools down. That's it. Obviously, I have it mounted to a 2x6 or 2x8 or whatever this is. And it spans the whole length of the underside of my bench here, but it's still not. I could take a hammer. If I hit this hard enough, I could break it right off. So it's not meant for hitting, pounding on this or anything. But this cool little cheap vise that I got from Harbor Freight turns in lots of different ways. So you can basically, you know, take a tool and kind of do whatever you want with it. Pretty cool. I actually had a video on this vise, recorded it, edited it, and then I never put it on YouTube, and I deleted it because I'm always afraid my videos are going to be boring like the one you're watching right now. I don't know, I like them, but I get it, they might be boring sometimes, but I like to make videos on everything I get. This vise is cool. I love that vise. It's like 25 bucks at Harbor Freight. I mean, it's just nice to have. And you can see I did a crappy job with that too. I used screws, which is exactly what I did to the sharpener. That's what happens when you get lazy. This actually has a clamp underneath, but I should actually bolt that in there. Anyway, so getting back to what this video is about is this chain sharpener. Love this thing. I'm gonna go over something here in a minute. The box here that it came in, I put my old sharpeners in that, my hand sharpeners. And then this is the organ sharpener that I was using, and it has like guides on there to tell you what degree you're at, 25, 30, whatever. And you're basically, you know, your ability to hold the angle is what you're basing your quality of your chain at. So like in the last video on this sharpener, when I hand sharpened or used that organ sharpener to sharpen my old chain, every one of these teeth was probably off by a couple degrees. So when I ran it through this, sometimes I'd take off a lot of material and sometimes I'd barely take off any, and that's because I didn't do a good job sharpening each one of these teeth. This thing does the same angle every time, so you can actually take a really crappy sharpened chain and run it through this and then actually correct all the teeth. So all the angles are proper, and that'll probably make the chain a lot smoother and then obviously cut better, not having a bunch of different angles and everything. This is not the chain that I sharpened on this last. This is the good chain that I pulled off of my Black & Decker when I went to test the first chain that I sharpened on this thing. Just for fun, I'm gonna throw a chain in here. Let's get this one on there. Yeah, this one's dull and it's pretty beat up. Okay. I didn't talk enough about this in the last video. I don't think I explained it very well, so I'm going to try to do that now. Okay, so this sharpener has multiple places that you can adjust. So one of them is this, and this is what actually clamps, or it tightens down on the chain and keeps it from moving. So right now, obviously, it slides really easy. All you have to do is do that, and then it's in there. And this is adjustable. I adjusted it. You can pull this out. It's kind of weird how this thing, you can adjust, you know, how tight this thing clamps down on the chain. You don't have to have it super tight. You just want it tight enough that this thing is not going to move when you're sharpening it. So, and then this other part here, this little thing that comes down, and it hits the back side of your teeth. And that's, you know, obviously that's kind of your mark. That's where you want to be. So then, see how perfect that is? I don't know if you can see that. Might need some light. Hold on. I don't know if that helps. But anyway, you can see that. My GoPro doesn't adjust very good, but you back, that back side of the tooth is up against this. Look how perfect this is. It's literally so close, and you can adjust that. So this adjustment deal right here, right there, you can see how close the tooth is to this grinding wheel, and you can adjust that. And to do that, you got, this is the adjustment lever, and this is just the one that tightens down your position so then it doesn't back out or, you know, move forward. So you loosen that. In my case, it's actually turning the bolt too. Okay, there we go. So it's backed off just a little bit. Now, when you tighten this, I got to hold the reel still here. See that? How it moves? So you can adjust it. Go a little bit farther. Eventually the tooth will hit like it is right now. It's barely touching it. It actually sipped by there. Tighten that down. I mean, look how close that is. We're talking extremely tight tolerances. So you can adjust this to however messed up your teeth are. You can adjust this to wherever you want. You want to take off a tiny little bit of material, you can do that. You want to take off a lot, you can do that too. The last time I used this, I was trying not to take off too much material because I'm still new to this, but look at how close that is. Let's just try that. Okay, I'm going to tighten this down. I'm going to leave this where it's at. So I'm just going to tighten this about right there. Just so then this thing can't really move. It has a little bit of play, obviously, because this thing was only 60 bucks. It was made overseas, but still, with this tightened down, it's not going to go anywhere. Actually, this thing's plugged in. Yeah. Actually took off a lot of material there. See, I'm still new to this, but yeah, it took a lot off. I actually really shortened that tooth. So I kind of messed this one up, but you get what I'm saying. I should have adjusted this out a little bit so then it didn't take off so much of that tooth. I'm still new to using this, but I'm just trying to explain how it works because it's just really interesting. It's really easy. It's all just about adjustment. Loosen that up. Yeah, I actually overheated it too. You can tell when you get a lot of heat on one of these teeth because it heats up and it changes color, but it's sharp, I'll tell you that. It's really sharp. So anyway, those are the first two things of adjustment. You got the one that tightens the chain down, the one that adjusts how much of the tooth you're going to grind off, and then underneath there's a knob. And like I said in the other video, all the teeth on these chains, depending on what kind of chain you got, I think, but all these teeth are at different angles. So, you know, they all might be the same degree of cut, so maybe 30 degrees, whatever, but still they're staggered. You can see how that's a different angle from this one. So you basically have to go through the whole chain, do all the same angles, and then you loosen this knob. You gotta adjust it back over to the same degree that you did, or whatever you... I don't know a lot about chainsaw chain, but maybe some teeth are a certain angle, some are another. I have no idea. But in my case, I was doing 30, and I'm happy with that. So now went to the other side. So we can, let's see. Let's go right there. Tighten this down, just see where it's at. Yeah, see, that needs to be adjusted. That's gonna take a ton of that tooth off. Pull this back. I hope the camera's not too shaky, but okay, now it needs to be adjusted in. I mean, you can really work at adjusting this. Tighten this down. I don't want to turn this anymore. I just want to tighten it down enough that it doesn't move. Okay, this time should sharpen it a little bit better. See what happens here. That was way better that time. And it is sharp. Very sharp. So, those are the first three different adjustments. The fourth one is back here. And this end of this hits on this surface. So what you're adjusting is the height of where this wheel stops. I adjusted it. It might be just a little bit too far right now, actually. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna loosen this. Okay, sometimes it turns both of these and you don't want that. Okay, loosen that just a little bit. I'm gonna do maybe one full turn. Okay, back it down. I don't really have enough hands here. Hold on, I'll set this. I'll try to show this. No, it's too high. Camera down. Okay, I think that'll work. Okay, now see the end of the wheel there. Okay, you can see that a little bit better. You don't want it going so far that it starts cutting into your actual links. You don't want to do that. You just want to go far enough that you sharpen that tooth as far down as it should be sharpened, but not go any farther. So if we want to adjust up a little bit, you turn the knob here clockwise. See how it lifts it? You can adjust it a lot. Now this thing's backed out so far that if I turn this on, I would cut right into that link. We don't want that, so. Okay, anyway. Back it down just to like right there. Okay. And this thing's you know, I don't want to say it's cheap, but it's, you know, cheaply kind of made. So you gotta hold this. If you try to turn this, it'll turn this too. So hold that still, tighten that down. Get that actually pretty tight. You don't want this thing moving, because then if you cut into your links, you'll screw up all your chains. And yep, far enough to sharpen the tooth, but won't mess up your link. Anyway, that is something I should have went through in the first video on this. Sorry I didn't do that. Kind of explain it a little bit better. But I always check everything, make sure I have everything right. The first chain that I did turned out pretty good, but I still think I might have ground down some of the teeth too much. And you know, if you have one tooth that half the material is gone and then another tooth where it's practically brand new, it's gonna, you know, I don't really know what that would do when you're cutting or if it'd make a huge difference. But obviously you want all your teeth wearing at the same rate, and then you want to sharpen them at the same, you know, same tolerances, so then it kind of maintains the same, you know, same sharpness the whole time that you're using the chain, until you get to the point where you can no longer use the chain anymore, and you can get rid of it. One thing about this that I actually forgot about was that, and maybe I should look at the directions, but this thing, I don't know if you can actually, it's possible you could actually adjust this to a certain height, and you could use this to file down your rakers. I mean, obviously, the way it's locked in right now, if I wanted to take a bastard file, I could file the rakers myself, which is probably what I would do anyways, because you barely take any material off of those rakers, and it drops it enough that you get plenty of your tooth biting into the wood. But I think if you wanted to, you really could adjust this, you know, and you literally just back this off enough. I'll do it right now. See that? I'm literally hitting the top of the raker. And then obviously you'd have to adjust this. And in this case, you want to push this thing in to lift it. You don't want it. See how close that is? Actually, if I turn this a little bit more, it won't even be touching. See? It's not even touching. Back it off, half a turn. Still not touching. A little bit more. It's touching now. So, literally, I guess you can use this to get your rakers. So if every one of these is the same, every one of these lengths with the raker and then the tooth, if these are all the same, technically you can leave this and you do the same thing you would do if you're sharpening, you just keep rotating the chain around and you can actually just get the rakers if you want. That has to be, I should have probably looked at the directions, but a little bit more. I'm going to tighten this down. I'm going to try this. I don't want this thing too far. Right there. Okay, I don't know if you can see this, but whoop. Right there. Okay. Tighten this down. We're gonna do it live. At this point, I'm just rambling. I hope you're still with me. And I'm gonna adjust this thing out just a tiny bit, just a tiny. Right there, right there. So I'm gonna hold this, tighten this. Okay. So we're right on that raker. Tighten that down. Let's see what happens here. It's funny. We're gonna move this thing forward just a tiny little bit, like right there. It's not even touching, so I'm gonna do this two-handed. That's funny. Okay, so obviously I didn't do it very good, but I did grind down that raker. Right now it's got a super sharp point on it, so it's poorly done. But honestly, you mess with this thing for a while, I think you could get it down to a science. And actually it looks like you know what you're doing instead of me who doesn't. So you can see, I think, maybe, you can see how much higher this tooth is compared to this raker. Now I'm sure each chain is different and every operator's preference might be different. I don't know, but I don't know what the distance is from the top of this tooth to the top of the raker. I don't know what kind of gap you're supposed to have. Maybe this is too much. Maybe it's fine. Maybe it's too little. I don't know. No idea. But somebody will comment and tell me what I am doing wrong. In fact, I had no idea what rakers even were. And I feel like an idiot now because I would sharpen my chains and then eventually, even though I sharpened my chains, it wouldn't cut into the wood at all. And I was like, what is going on here? I had no idea what a raker was. My raker was like almost level with the tooth, if not above it. So when I was trying to cut wood, the rakers were hitting the wood and not the sharp tooth. So had somebody not told me that in the comments on my videos, I would have never known. You know how many chains I threw out that just needed the rakers filed on them? That makes me feel stupid. So that's what I love about YouTube. Even if I do stuff wrong, I'll admit all day long, I'm not a pro at anything. But I try to do everything, you know, I'm not afraid to do anything. And when people tell me stuff like that and I learn, that's how you learn to do stuff, is people who know what they're doing tell you how to do things, you know. So I appreciate it when people say stuff in the comments because that's how I learn. But anyway, I know this has been an incredibly long video. I just really love this sharpener. I wish I would have gotten it a long time ago. It's very cool to me how you can adjust this and do stuff with it, you know. I don't know anything about machining, but I find it really fascinating when you see people on like a metal lathe and they like make, you know, like a, I don't know, like a keyway shaft or something into like an axle for a go-kart or something. I think it's cool, you know. And this kind of reminds me of that, only this isn't, you know, I can mess up chains. It's not a big deal. It's not like I'm putting an expensive piece of metal in this thing and grinding on it. But anyway, so this is way cooler than the other ways that I sharpen chains. I did buy all this stuff. I mean, I got all these, you know, gauges for these round files and the raker files, and I got this thing that has, you know, different grinding things for it. It's practically a rotor tool, really, but then it has that shows you what your angle is, blah blah blah. Sometimes I don't mind using a hand file. Actually, this one right here, I've actually gotten some really good sharp teeth by using this. I feel like you have a lot of control with it. It's just slower. And again, like I said a million times, if you don't get your angle right, if you're not good at it, you put a different angle in all your teeth. So it really messes up your chain, messes up your cutting. Anyway, if you've watched this whole video and you're at this point right now, thank you so much for watching, because it means a lot to me. But highly recommend this Forester sharpener. I hope you enjoyed the video, what I did with my electrical and my setup here. Fixed my bench, mounted this thing on there. Bauer tools are awesome. I recommend them. And please let me know what you think. And thank you so much for watching.